You built the business. Now, build the man. This is the Ben Price Experience.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Ben.
Joe, who are you and why are you here?
Okay. Well, like we just mentioned offline, I actually have an answer to this, which is great. So if you'd like me to share the work that we've done previously,
Absolutely.
it exposed me a little bit when we did it, which was quite cool. And it had me thinking for about a week straight and I couldn't take my mind off it. So here it is. So I am a leader by action, then by words. I lead myself before I lead others. I feel, I act, and then I feel some more. I am a carer for the people close to me. I am a thinker. I'm level-headed. The highs don't get me too high. The lows don't get me too low. I am a rationalizer and I create efficiency. I'm a deep thinker. I am creative. I am a man of my word. I am consistent with who I am and who I am being. I'm a man who looks for a way through, not a way out. I take ownership of my life, my emotions, and my actions. I provide a calm presence. I'm an unapologetic man who can express love. I've been learning that recently. I am a father to Vinny and Gia. I am the support, their guide, their warmth, and I'm a husband to Laura. Our personalities provide very different views and outlooks, but always provide love and comfort. I am a son and a brother who is proud of the person I'm being in their lives. I'm driven to be continually growing and the man that my family deserves. I'm strong, I'm fit, I'm resilient. I am willing to do whatever it takes. I'm an inspiring leader through hard work and dedication with a hint of sarcasm and humor. And I am here to coach and inspire. I'm here to also be coached and be inspired. I'm here to love, show love, and be loved. I'm here to be the person I aim to be. I'm here to provide more depth to this world and the people around me. I'm here to help people find the fulfillment they deserve. I am a human. That's taken some fine tuning and and letting go of a lot of my own thoughts in my head of there's almost, we didn't actually speak about this, but there was almost an embarrassment at the start when I started writing it.
Definitely.
It felt very, it felt self-centered at first. And I felt like, what if people don't see me like this? It's going to look ridiculous. And then, it just took me days to let go of it and actually write it. And, and it's given me a lot of clarity and focus, not just on who I'm being, but who I want to be long term and maintain being.
It's really beautiful, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for making me do it.
You're welcome. So for those of you if you're listening and you haven't kind of clocked on yet, Joe and I have been working together for about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And Joe is not somebody who had a poor mindset in any way, I wouldn't say. I mean, like you already heard, he said he's here to be coached and developed and to grow, but he's not somebody who's not a high performer already. Would you agree with that? What would you say to that, Joe?
Yeah, I would say that. And it was just, so for us to start working together, for me, it was, I just needed to dial in on taking away from, I think I was putting too much focus on what I was doing and my output. And I just needed to bring it back to, I'm sure we'll speak about this a lot, but who I'm being in the process. And that's probably the biggest thing that's helped me so far.
Nice. And so for somebody who doesn't really understand what being means or what you're referring to, how would you explain it and what does it mean to you?
So I think to put it in terms of what people might normally think of it as, the process and the outcome, and sort of trying to detach from the outcome a little bit. obviously our outcomes, our goals, everything are going to drive us, and they are important. Otherwise, we wouldn't make them goals and things that we want to achieve. But once you've set them, that process of just trying to detach from that outcome and just focus on not just what you're doing day in, day out, but the person that you're being whilst you're doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's I'm a runner, so I'll use that as an example. If you've got a half marathon goal, so if, for example, you wanted to do an hour 40 half marathon, and you're currently at an hour 50, being is probably more a case of if you are focused on who you're being, you will be very fulfilled, even if you don't hit that goal, because you're focusing on, well, what would the version of me be that would get an hour 40 half marathon? So it then gets to a point where if you detach from the outcome and focus on who you're being, you will, if you get an hour 41 and you've got it down from an hour 50, would you be disappointed by that if you're focusing on the outcome? I think you would.
Well, yes, you would if you were focused on the outcome.
On the outcome, yeah. But just being the type of person that may or may not get an hour 40 half marathon, for now, for me, is good enough. And I say good enough, it's exactly what I want. And I've actually got a half marathon. Why I'm using that excuse? I've got that example. I've got a half marathon at the weekend, and I've got a goal target. And right now, I just feel so calm about it, because it's not, whether I get it or not, it doesn't matter, because who I've turned up and been day in, day out, the consistency, just being relentless, no matter how I'm feeling about it or what's going on, just keep turning up. And that was a big focus over the last couple of months, of just be that person, be that version of you that has got a chance of getting an hour 25 half marathon. And now it's got to the point where the outcome and the result is getting very close. And I don't actually really care about the result for the first time in a while.
That's obviously quite a new thing for you, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it is. I think the detachment even from the process, because I've always been process driven, but it's always been what I was doing. So the day-to-day processes, I never really focused on the outcome. I never really thought about it, because I'm quite present in like, right, okay, just do this today, do this. And I think that's put me in a good position. But the biggest step in the last couple of months has been not even focusing on the doing, focusing on the being.
Because the being is going to stick with you forever, isn't it?
Exactly.
And the result of the marathon is like, realistically, it doesn't matter the day after.
It's exactly the high of hitting your target lasts like a day before.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. What's next? Like, yeah. And that's a good positive step for me.
How many people? So Joe's an online fitness coach, fitness and nutrition coach. How would you describe yourself, Joe?
Yeah. So a performance coach.
Performance coach.
More focusing on the human performance. We develop systems in your life to make sure that you're getting the results that you want, but coaching the human being to actually get that result, and building the mindset and the mentality to actually sustain it long term, rather than just sort of like, right, I've got 3 months to get in the best shape of my life. That's just a small part of it.
Yeah. How many people do you think are, out of all the people you coach, all the people you see, who are in that same situation where they're just really attached to those outcomes?
When they first start with me, at least 75%, maybe more.
what do you think, other than what we've spoken about, like, why is that such a problem? What's the issue with that?
You're never living in the present, and you're never satisfied, and you're never focusing on who you are as a human being. You're everything, every feeling is attached to this outcome.
And it never fulfills. And it never fulfills.
Yeah, you get like we just said, you probably feel fulfilled if you get the result for a day, 2 days. Whereas, you know, if you're being present and focusing on who you are being, you are fulfilled every single day. And you know, that might come in waves throughout the day,
Yeah,
depending on how it's going or how you're feeling about it. And but at some point in that day, you will feel very fulfilled just for turning up and keeping your word to yourself.
if I'm a high performing individual, I probably have heard that I shouldn't be fulfilled. I shouldn't be satisfied. To keep driving, to keep kind of getting better. So I can imagine like hearing you say that and thinking, yeah, but I want to be the best. So
Yeah.
What would you say to that?
I've probably used those words over the years. I've never be satisfied.
Yeah.
I think that's very, in my head now, it's very different to being fulfilled. And I think the difference for me is the fulfillment, like, yes, don't be satisfied because there always is more work to be done, but also you've got to appreciate who you're being each day. That is going to get you where you want to be. So yeah, I've probably been guilty of it over the years of like, right, okay. And there's still an element of it, because even in myself, if I get to an end point of a goal, it's not an end. I say an end point. It's like a checkpoint where that's where you get to, and then it's a focus on the next. But you've got to appreciate what you've done in that time. But again, it's what you have. It's who you have been in that time that you need to appreciate more. So that's where the satisfaction really doesn't come into it. I feel like satisfaction comes from result. Fulfillment comes from process.
And why does it matter?
Again, like, you could get the same result. Chances are you're probably going to get a better result. But would you rather be, if you get the end result, again, let's use that example of someone trying to run an hour 40 half marathon, or even, you know, set up a business to hit a certain milestone within 12 months. If you get that end result, what would you prefer? Just only focusing on that result and then getting that reward at the end, or having that feeling of fulfillment every day of working towards that point? Same, the results are the same, but the journey is so very different.
I suppose it's also most people, not, you know, I say most people, so I've met people who are always using stress to fuel them as well. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, they're like, oh, I need the target. I need the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they, you know, people come to me and they're like, I need you to hold my ass to the fire. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I don't like doing it.
Yeah.
And it's not my style. I found that out the weekend as well. It's really not my style to be like holding people's ass to the fire. I've never liked it when I had the gym, and I always felt like it was almost like a telling off, and it was very draining.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're like, I want to achieve this thing and I'm not doing it, then I can coach to figure out why you're not doing it. And then you can have the state of being where you keep it forever and you're just doing it without thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, what do you think about that? So lots of people using stress to drive them, whereas what you're saying now is like, if you don't use that, it's kind of like you've just got this, you're more peaceful, you're more relaxed, and you're not satisfied because you still don't know the exact version of who you're being, You still don't exactly know yourself, but you're way closer.
Yeah. I think people, I actually heard something a little while ago that's saying that scenario where you're using stress and pressure is actually can actually be a form of procrastination. They're waiting to feel that stress in order to
Yeah.
amp it up and do it.
Your back's up against the wall.
Yeah.
We've
Exactly.
both been in a coaching program where that was used a lot.
Really? Okay. Yeah, when you look back. That's probably where it came from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of like, you know what, it's right. And I suppose it's similar to being a perfectionist as well.
Yeah.
You feel like you need everything to be perfect when in reality is you just need to do the do and get moving. But yeah, I think a lot of high performers feel like they got to that point where they are now, and the result that they've got is from them being driven by stress.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And reality, stress doesn't drive performance.
There's
drives urgency. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's probably what some people have needed.
Yeah. I think there's a I remember seeing the bell curve. Have you seen that, where it's like there's a certain amount of stress which is useful.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, it's like it just isn't useful anymore for performance, and then not enough is also not useful. But
it's used to describe the state of flow, isn't it, as well?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't need a scientist on it to tell you that a state of flow is probably going to be your best way of getting a higher amount of work done at a higher quality and bring out the best in you. But people, I think they go beyond that and feel like that hyper stress is what they need, when life's stressful enough as it is without piling it onto yourself.
Yeah. I also ended up, I don't know about you, but I think there's a trap, and maybe it's my personality style, because I'm a quick starter, so I quickly start a project. Like I was just telling you, I've like got a million tabs open and I'm quickly starting things and trying stuff out, and so the trap that I ended up in was, I need pressure, right? So I remember a coach telling me, I was like, should I invest? It wasn't an investment. Should I get this car, right? Which was quite expensive. And I was like, well, I'm doing quite well, but it's kind of unnecessary. I don't really need it. I'm not bothered by cars in the slightest. And he was like, yeah, do it, because it will put you under some more pressure to like work harder, and it will change your mindset. So you'll elevate. And I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I just sort of wanted the permission to do it. But in reality, I ended up in a trap, because I had the stress of having to pay this bill every month.
Yeah.
And it was too much stress. I had enough stress. I just I definitely didn't need that.
That could be a sort of a carrot or the stick scenario, where for me, I actually use a reward system in some of my coaching as well. And the caveat is, the reward isn't the reward at the end. The reward is the work and who you are being in the build up to that. But instead of preempting it and going, yeah, I'm going to get that car, and then working towards it, why don't you
get the car at the end?
Point. Yeah. When you go, you know what? When I get to this milestone of X per month or X per quarter, that's when I can get the car. Because then you're still driven by it. Pardon the pun. That was awful. You're still driven by it, but not through the pain of trying to play catch up.
Yeah, that was a really good pun. But you're right. Yeah. And then you might get there and be like, actually, I don't care about cars.
Yeah. It gives you a time to think about it.
Yeah. Which now I drive a truck, like a beaten old truck, and I don't care. That's way more suited for me.
Yeah. And you've still probably gone through the same process, but at the end, you're probably a little bit more like, you know what, I can put that money into something else that I actually do care about, rather than
Okay, I almost feel silly asking you this question, but I'm going to ask it to you anyway because I was away for 3 days at a business retreat, and the uh, presenter was talking about the importance of body, mind, and spirit, and body being, fitness, nutrition, blah blah blah. And to me, it's super obvious, and but it's not obvious to everyone. And I realized that I've been down this rabbit hole very deeply, as of you, with nutrition and exercise, and I've come out the other end of really about its mindset and being, and that's really what drives all of these things. However, how important do you think it is to be fit and healthy? And I use that deliberately because you can be fit and unhealthy, right?
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people are.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on that? And how does that relate to being successful, whatever you define success to be?
Yeah. I mean, you and your well-being is at the center of everything that turns up in your life. And you can also put into that your purpose, the fulfillment you get from life. It all centers from your health and well-being. Because if you haven't got the foundation to push yourself in different directions that you want to take it, then you're not going to get there. You're going to be crashing on the sofa the second you get home from work. You limit how much you can put into life by not focusing on your own health, your fitness, and your well-being. And I think your limit, your energy is like this. When you're not focusing on it, you're going into your business, you're 100 mile an hour, buzzing around. You head home from work, you get home, you have dinner, and you're dead on the sofa, and you haven't got time for your kids, your family. You haven't got time to go to the gym. And when you start focusing on your well-being, your energy, your health and performance, that limit then goes like this. And all of a sudden you're able to cope with the demands of whatever the day throws at you, but also then put it into your relationships, put it into your fitness, and it grows from there. And it is the central cog of everything. And I know you probably expect me to say that because I am a fitness coach, but I've been there.
Can you relate it? Can you like, if I'm somebody who doesn't work out, right, but I'm doing pretty well in business, and my relationship's okay. Like what's gonna happen if I actually focused on it? Like really focused on it.
Why is your relationship just okay?
Because I'm quite tired a lot of the time, probably.
Okay. How would you feel if you had a little bit more energy to put into your relationship?
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Okay. And how would you feel going to work knowing that you're able to put more into your relationship and you're getting more out of your relationship with your family, your kids, your wife?
Yeah, I'd feel more motivated I'd feel more at peace with that and motivated, I think.
And how do you feel like your work performance would change just from an improved energy and relationship?
Well, I know that for me it has changed when I've increased these things and improved these things. So it's just a case really of asking the right questions and kind of getting people. So you think that a lot of people are just unconscious to the possibility of improving their performance in that?
Yeah, unconscious or just unaware of where their ceiling is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Just like they've accepted that that's what they do and that's the level they're operating at. And if I think you don't get the connection that's quite often. I think a lot of people just see everything as a separate entity, like your work and business, your relationships and family, your fitness. And then once you start putting all the dots together and seeing it as a bit of an ecosystem of your life and how each one benefits the other, I think that's when you become unconscious to it and start feeling the benefits within everything. And yeah, I think maybe our generation, I say our generation, we're about the same age, right?
How old do you think I am?
Should have checked that. But I think we're probably the first generation to embrace that a little bit more. I think, yeah. But as
Still plenty of people who don't know.
yeah, yes, a lot. But you look at a lot of let's use the old saying of success leaves clues, and how many CEOs, businessmen, successful in their own right, do all of this, but they're not shouting about it.
Yeah, it's just something they do.
Yeah,
It's not a debate. It's not a question.
mm-hmm.
It's not even a conversation. It's just like,
Yeah.
come on. Richard Branson always says that 1 hour of exercise gives him 4 hours of extra productivity in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Success leaves clues. So, okay, where do I start? I'm embarrassed about my body. I don't understand anything about nutrition. I don't like the word mindset. Like, where do I start?
Well, you got to ask for help, but if you're not going to do that first, just be conscious. Just start being conscious of what you're doing, who you're being, and what's making you feel like this. And most people's argument is, I don't have time. Right? You hear that time and time again of time is the issue, but you're also creating more time on this planet by getting healthier. You're not even thinking about the day. If you spend an hour, and like Richard Branson said, you get 4 hours of productivity. But even think about it at the end of your life, when you've got quality of life for a longer period. If you're going to have an extra 10 years with your grandchildren, even your great grandchildren, that's time. And people forget that because they're just in the here and now of, well, how's this going to get me a better business? How is this going to get me healthier in the next 24 hours? Whereas when you're thinking about it longer term, you're creating so much more time, but you are creating time in that smaller window as well, because like you said, you are making yourself more productive. And the place to start is just being conscious.
Yeah. It's a good answer.
And understanding. And, even if you don't get a coach, even if you don't start going to the gym or training, being conscious of what you're putting into your body, how it makes you feel, putting that into your body, how much you move in the day. The simplest thing of, just understanding how often you're sitting down or standing up or steps or movement. That's the simplest place to start, because the unhealthiest people are the ones that not train the least, but move the least.
I like to think of it as like levers you can pull. Like there's a training lever, there's a nutrition lever, there's a sleep lever.
Yeah.
And then in there's like other little levers that you can pull as well. What would you say, like the biggest levers, that you could pull, the easiest kind of lever you could pull? If it was like 3 things that you could start with.
3 things to start with. You've mentioned most of them there. Sleep is absolutely massive, especially for business owners, because the stress and the autonomic nervous system is just firing constantly, the sympathetic state. You've got to counter that with the parasympathetic state, to the rest and digest mode. And the best way to do that is by improving your sleep.
Right.
And reducing overall stress that you're putting your body under. It's like a rev counter. If you're revving your engine at 5, 6, 7,000 revs per minute for all day, then your engine's going to burn out at some point. You need to bring it back down and recover it. So sleep is a massive one. And I think people, especially again, business owners, they think, sleep is the cousin of death, as they say. And
it's kind of like a sense of pride, isn't there? Like not sleeping,
And again, they feel like they're losing time by sleeping more. But, I'll probably say the same as Richard Branson said, but probably an extra hour's sleep on top of whatever you're getting right now is probably going to give you 4 hours of productivity as well. So that's 2 hours of your day, bringing 8 hours of productivity.
And it's the quality of that sleep as well, isn't it? It's worth sort of mentioning. Yeah. What's your top 3 kind of little levers for sleep specifically? So the small levers within big lever of sleep.
It's the obvious one that you always hear of put your phone away, but not because of blue light exposure or anything like that. I personally don't feel that there's a big impact of blue light exposure. The issue is what that exposure is, and it's the outside world, it's the news, it's your work emails, it's someone messaging you asking about something that isn't important until the morning. You can leave it, but it's in your head straight away there. So just having a cut-off point of going, anything I do from this point on isn't going to affect tomorrow. So I can literally, again, another pun. I can put that to bed. and I can start bringing that parasympathetic state and having a little bit of an act at that point. So I like to use breath work. I'm not the best at meditation, but breath work it does a very, very similar job, where you're just doing something physical that in your head is, right, that's the end of the day. Now I'm going into a state of sleep and recovery. So like just having that little
ritual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Having a switch and just going into that point. So that's probably number 1 and probably number 2 as well, all together. I said 2 things at once. And the other one is consistency. I think people think their midweek sleep and their weekend sleep is very different. And they'll go from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll be on a roll and going to bed at 9:30 and getting up at 6 or whatever, which is a good sleep, very good sleep. And then they'll come to the weekend and they'll go to bed at midnight and get up at 8. And just that change in your circadian rhythm can have a bigger impact as you come out of it as well. So live your life, enjoy yourself for the weekend.
What's the circadian rhythm?
So it's your 24-hour cycle of what your body goes through. So hormonally, so for men, the big driver is around testosterone and cortisol. So that will sort of peak and trough throughout the day, and you get it's literally called a rhythm for a reason, right? Because your body wants it to be similar. It wants a rhythm each day to stick to. So just being predictable is a very good thing when it comes to sleep. And
so your body, like your nervous system, knows it's coming, kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly. And prepare for it and get into a state to maximize that point. Stress isn't a bad thing, but in fact it's a good thing, I'd say, in the right amount. And recovering from that stress is just as important, obviously. So it's just exactly the same as training. Like you stress your muscles and your body. If you're doing strength work, you're stressing and overloading it slightly. But what you do after the session is going to dictate how you adapt to that and recovering from it. It's exactly the same. You stress your body, absolutely fine. You stress your mind, also fine. But what you do to recover actually has the biggest impact on whether that stress then becomes a positive or a negative.
Yeah, because most people are kind of starting the day with a boatload of stress already.
Mm.
And I was ill recently, and so my watch kind of gives me like a body battery score.
Mm.
And I remember I woke up one day and it was like 5 out of 10. I started the day at 5, and it goes down obviously. So it was a horrendous day.
Yeah.
And then the next day it was 30, and I sort of had, so I felt better. And then now it's like, I don't know, up to like 80, 90 again.
Yeah. And when you saw that, what did you do? How did you feel?
I went to bed. I pretty much went back to bed.
Yeah.
It was nice because it kind of gives me feedback, almost like validation on how I am actually feeling.
Yeah.
I am actually sick. I'm not just making it up today. Sometimes you feel tired and your watch is like, no, you're fine.
Yeah. And I think we're in a privileged position in the fact that we're coaches and we know how to use that data.
Yes.
Well, what would you say to someone who has got a Whoop or a watch or whatever, and they're going through the same as you, and they pops up and they say, actually, well, my body battery's 5 out of 10. I feel all right.
Yeah.
Are they going to be saying, would you say to go with it, or would you say go with how you feel?
No, I think, a bit of both. But if you're not attuned to your body and it's a new thing for you, then as long as you've got, you've been wearing it long enough to have the feedback on the data, as in like the watch kind of knows your rhythms and your data, then trust it, because you could be getting sick before you are. Like your watch will know, like your body will know before your body will be kicking out signals before you pick up on the fact you're ill or you're fatigued. And when I was training for the Ironman, it was really, really important to manage that, because it's super easy to overtrain when you start getting quite fit. Really easy. It's called junk miles. So you only needed, say, like you need that much stimulation to get fitter, because you probably know this as well, right? But there's only a certain amount your cardio is ever going to get fit from one training session. So, and that would be like time and a heart rate zone. So I used to go 30 minutes at zone 2 for a run. And then anything beyond that was just basically pointless. But sometimes you felt like great. You were like, yeah, I'll keep going because I'm having a great cycle or I'm having a great run or whatever. And you actually be disciplined in the other way. You have to be disciplined to not overtrain.
Yeah.
And it got harder as you got fitter because you were doing so much more volume.
Yeah. I think in endurance athletes and people who prefer the endurance side of things, they're all, more often than not, you have to rein them in.
Yeah.
And push them. Yeah. And I love that. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's a much easier thing to do. Well, actually, it's still hard because it's all wrapped up in your ego, really.
Yeah.
Because my ego is like, I want to train, I want to push myself.
Yeah. And you start, and at the start, as a coach, they'll start doubting you. Like, why are you telling me to do less, or why are you telling me to do this? And I think that brings it back into the data side of things as well, because like what people do wrong on the other side, like on the other end of the spectrum, is they'll feel okay. They'll see something pop up and say, right, just your body might be fighting something here. They'll stop. They won't do anything.
Oh, right.
Rather than adaptation.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're going into an interval session when you're feeling like that, might be a little bit of a case of pushing you over the edge and compromising your immune system a little bit more. But if you move into, like you said, like a zone 2, a more aerobic recovery based session, you're still moving the needle without overstressing the immune system and making you worse. And I think that's probably where a lot of the general population get it a little bit wrong when it comes to data, where they get completely driven by it, that they then forget how they feel or how the exercise can actually make them feel.
Yeah. Because we don't understand who we're being.
Yeah.
So it's like, who are you being in that scenario? Well, you're being somebody who doesn't really, you're wrapped up on the outcome, I guess, of training, and like you're wrapped up on like what it says on your schedule.
Yeah.
Or you're being scared, or you're being avoidant. I don't know. You're certainly not being calm and peaceful and loving to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what it comes back to.
Yeah. And we had this conversation last couple of weeks, didn't we? Because I was unwell as well. And an issue I've had, it's been a good thing because it's got me to where I am. But, again, the generation growing up before us, seeing our parents and seeing that time and effort is the only thing that we saw to generate results, income, everything. And that was literally all we saw. So for me, it was always, I had to be the hardest worker.
Yeah.
I had to, people had to know that I was the hardest worker because my ego needed it a little bit as well. And being detaching myself from that whilst I was unwell, of just of who I was being, I was still turning up and doing what I could, but I wasn't the hardest worker. I wasn't, I wasn't efficient. I wasn't productive. But I was turning up. I was being the person that I want to be, and who the best version of me. So that was a big win for me over the last couple of weeks of being able to do that. Because
and previously you would have been hard on yourself and just overtrained, or
overtrained, overworked, and
which is not really loving yourself, right?
No, exactly it. And probably extended the illness as well.
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you mean, because I've done that. I've done that plenty of times. Yeah. And that's all that results, injuries. That's resulted in injuries.
Yeah.
Like you say, prolonging in illness. And actually, the best thing you need, especially if you're training for an event like an Ironman, you need to rein it in so you get well, so you can train again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because you're, again, longer term, you're doing more work, or you're able to do more training from managing, the day, the week a little bit better in order to get back to full speed when you can.
Yeah.
It's a fine line, isn't it? Where you can go either way. You can overwork or you can underwork. But,
yeah, because you're either being hard on yourself, or you're being lazy.
Yeah.
Or you're like, I'm going to take it easy, but then your mind is like, I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
Then you're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Which is probably the more likely one.
Yeah. And probably where you're probably not even thinking about who you're being. You're just thinking about what you're doing and what your output is.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you're being the person that just turns up and does what they can, but doesn't overstress it, you can walk away from your desk. Or
one of the things, I think I've said this to you before, but one of the things that I always found really frustrating is, like, because I started to question that kind of thinking, and I started to understand mindset, and I would kind of consciously know that it didn't really matter. And I could probably bang out a load of mindset quotes for you around it, but it didn't matter because it wasn't the mindset is nothing to do with who I'm being. My being creates my thinking.
Yeah.
So, does that make sense? Like, I'd know the mindset stuff, but I wasn't being it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because, again, like the mindset stuff and all the, like you said, the quotes, it's all external.
Yeah.
If you're not being
because of who they were being.
Yeah, exactly. And again, one of the issues I had mentally was like over the last sort of 10, 15 years, and probably my life of growing up as well, was fuck your feelings, basically. And I think, and you've probably, felt like that many times.
Yeah.
And it just didn't help me.
No.
And ironically, by acknowledging my feelings, I've been able to do more, get better, perform better, because I acknowledge them, but I continue despite that. And I feel stronger mentally from doing that, rather than just going, just shut your feelings out.
Yes.
You know, stop being a pussy, just get on with it. Whereas, like, when I was doing the ultra marathon, did 142 kilometers, there was one point where I nearly gave up, and it was only about 40 kilometers in, and my guts were in pieces, and I just didn't think I could get through it another 100 kilometers. And I started thinking about what I was going to tell people, how I was going to tell people, and how that would make me feel. I thought, you know what, that would make me feel absolutely crap. But also, it's hurting. That's okay. It's okay that it hurts. Don't shut that out. But being the person that works his way through that pain and overcomes those feelings and gets to the finish line is who I want to be. And that helped.
Mm-hmm.
And that essentially got me over the line.
So what drove you more? This was before we started working together. So what drove you more? The sense of like shame that you might have to tell people you weren't going to finish?
No,
Or the sense of who I'm going to be when I finish and I overcome my feelings?
exactly. Yeah, it was that. It was
Yeah.
the latter, because that sort of prompted how I was going to feel. So it sort of got in my head of how I would feel at the end. But I was more driven by that's the pain, isn't it? That's the pain of feeling like that. The reward is getting through it despite how you're feeling. And I always feel like I am driven more by the reward than the pain side of things. But I think that probably helped me to acknowledge my feelings. Like, that is how I'm going to feel. And then it's like, well, how are you feeling right now? You're feeling in pain. You're feeling like crap. But yeah, in a way, in my head, I was like, but how am I going to feel if I overcome this, continue, and finish? Probably better than if I didn't feel the pain, in all honesty.
Yeah. God, when I was doing the Ironman, it wasn't even a question that I wasn't going to finish.
No.
I mean, I questioned it, but it wasn't
Yeah.
a question that I wasn't going to finish.
Yeah. Well,
It was just
during or before or both?
I think probably both, but I remember it during. I was like, I will crawl if I need to.
Yeah. And I think I definitely had the doubt, because I was in a lot of pain. I was sort of doubled over. But what I didn't do was stop. Just kept walking. I kept putting one foot in the other, in front of the other. And that is where, I can't remember where the saying came from, of where your mind goes, your body follows. I actually feel like it's the other way around. I think where your body goes, your mind follows. And if you can just act and keep putting one foot in front of the other, your mind will catch up with you. Don't worry about that. But if you stop, that's in your head. It's like, oh, right, we're stopping, are we? That's it. And yeah, I think that probably saved me at that point, of just not fully stopping, just keep walking and keep moving. And in my head, it was like, no, you haven't given up yet. You're still moving. So I think that's probably one thing that stuck with me the most, of that switch around of, your just act, then things will follow.
This feels like
Coming from an overthinker.
Yeah. This feels like a good moment to segue into masculinity as a topic of conversation, because we've talked about feelings.
Yep.
And we've talked about doing hard things.
Yep.
I think that's important. So what do you feel like it means to be a masculine man?
Now is very different to how I thought 15 years ago. But just a lot of what we've spoken about already. I wouldn't have probably wouldn't even done this podcast. I probably wouldn't be working with you if my feelings around masculinity hadn't changed over the last 10 to 15 years, and just being open to being more honest with myself in order to be more honest with other people. And your honesty and integrity is a big part of being a man. But equally, having those feelings that we just spoke about and not shutting them out is a massive part of just a human being, not just masculinity, but just being a human being, right? And understanding that you're going to have feelings, you're going to feel worse sometimes than others. And yeah, I think that's probably the biggest change around masculinity. But equally, it's all right to be the stereotypical masculine man as well. It's all right to be a provider. It's all right to be go out and be the hunter gatherer, and that's okay. And I feel like over the last particularly over the last 5 to 10 years, we've lost so many of those role models in our lives. And I think that the media in particular, and many things around the higher powers, have pushed us away from there and almost demonized that sort of role model for men. And I feel like that is missing in a lot of younger men's lives now. And it's a pretty dangerous situation to be in, I think.
I think so. Yeah. Because if you don't feel capable as a man, you feel powerless. Really. Like, that's just the feeling that you get. It's not, and maybe I don't know if it's the same for women or not, because I'm not a woman, so I wouldn't know. But women are becoming a lot more capable, and that's a great thing. And men are becoming less capable.
Yeah.
And that's not great for the men who are taking their own lives at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I don't think we really know why they do it, but because they're gone, they can't tell us. But I think they feel powerless and lonely.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's even from the top, like Hollywood movies now. How many strong role models for men are there in Hollywood movies now that are more of that sort of stereotypical masculinity? Hardly any.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess I couldn't. Or they're, the ones that you and I grew up with would be like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Or people like that who are, not going to say he's not a man, but he is a man, but he's portraying a lot of the time a different version.
Yeah.
Like, he's not honest about his feelings, let's put it that way. The Terminator's not there like, yeah, I'm not feeling too great today. He's always on, he's always crushing it, he's always smashing it.
We'll let the bad guy win this time, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll go back to bed. But yeah, but then again, that's probably one of the positives to come out of the last 5-10 years, is the fact that people are a bit more open to it now. And men in particular are actually speaking to others. But again, speaking isn't everything.
No.
You still got to act as well.
Yeah.
But we as men are more open to speaking to others, which is one of the positives to come out of it, I think. But yeah, just trying to get.
I think you're right. But I think also a lot of men. I sometimes think that, and then I look around and I think maybe we're just in a bit of an echo chamber, because like where I was at the hotel at the weekend, there was just so many guys who were boozing and being in, in boy psychology, they were just being brutish and, nargle outs, I guess. And I know that because I've been there. Yeah. Immaturity in that sense. So I feel like there are there is a sort of growing sense of more people being open to having conversations about it, but there's still such a gap between the people who are and the people who, it's a vast canyon.
Yeah. Completely agree. And
between it.
on top of that, people probably think that talking is the answer.
Yeah.
It's not. It's part of the solution.
It's
You
definitely part of
have
it.
to be open to it. But yeah, I just think just by talking, everything's just going to be out the window, and you're going to be back to where you were before. But it's an ongoing process.
I just had a really good conversation with a psychologist earlier on today, and we were talking about alcohol and what it does to the brain, and he said it actually allows the real version of you to come out. And I was like, oh, that actually sounds like a good thing. But then obviously there's the negative sides of having a hangover and whatever. And actually what's interesting is if that's true, then the real version of a lot of people is really an insecure, wounded, non-peaceful, angry, sad person. And I think certainly I know a lot of my clients who have had issues with alcohol, and we've sort of helped them through it. The only time they ever spoke about how they were truly feeling was when they were pissed.
Yeah.
And then when they speak about it, guess what? Everyone else is pissed, so they don't really hear them anyway. And no one has the tools to like listen, to be present, because their state of being is also wounded, angry, frustrated, whatever, sad. Yeah. So it just ends up being a massive clusterfuck.
Yeah. They probably think there's less consequence. They probably think they'll be heard, but nothing will come of it.
Well, nothing never does come of it.
Yeah, exactly, because they're all pissed.
Or something embarrassing comes of it.
Yeah, but then it devoids them of any responsibility for what's their words, because they've got the back out of.
I was just drunk. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
And do you drink?
Not really. No.
See, I haven't drunk for 2.5 years, and
I haven't been drunk. I probably haven't been drunk for that amount of time.
Yeah, I'm not teetotal. I just keep making the choice not to, which probably helps a little bit. But the part of it was like, I didn't like the version of me when I was drunk, and I especially didn't like the version of me the next day either. So, would I have a slightly better time if I was drinking? Maybe, but is it worth it? Absolutely not. Each time, and I just weigh it up each time. And
do you know what would be interesting though? Is if we were to get drunk now, having done a lot of the work on like what would happen now? Like the real version is already out. So
yeah. I think I'd have a little bit more self-control.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't allow myself to get to that point where I turn into that version of me that I do not like. I think I'll probably get to that point. Yeah,
it'd be an interesting kind of experiment. No, I'm not going to do, but
you need that.
Yeah. So on that kind of topic, you're coming to the camp in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that, and I think what are your reasons for coming to the camp, and what are you hoping to get from it for you personally?
You know what? We've just spoken about masculinity, and I think that's probably a big part of it, of just being able to be around a campfire amongst other men and just sort of experience that. I'm definitely not a camper, by the way. This is the first time since being a kid, so it can be interesting. Awesome. My home comforts are going to be missing, but just being. I'm probably going to be I'm looking forward to being amongst other men that are probably in quite a similar position to me. And they've probably got their own hang-ups about the last few years or what's led them to this point. But just being having a chance to just be unapologetically masculine, but also open. And it's not often that I get that in day-to-day life.
Yeah, well,
I don't get that in day-to-day life. So.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the thing. That space, that's the space that's missing from so many men's lives.
Yeah.
Certainly was missing from my life, which is why I put on the camps.
Yeah.
And I would run them for free, but people wouldn't come because they're too busy.
Yeah. Yeah. They wouldn't, yeah, they wouldn't value it.
Well, you just just literally got to tie them in with some cash to
Yeah.
to make sure they. And still, sometimes people still don't show up. Sometimes,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was. I'm actually really excited for that, and it exposes me as a person as well, because I'm a bit of an introvert. I tend to get a little bit anxious about more social situations, and we've spoken about this previously, of reframing it, of and you're not anxious, it's actually, it is excitement. So just using that word of I am excited, rather than I'm a bit anxious of having these conversations with people that I don't know, and being around them and being worried what they think of me, or how I'm perceived. Just having that reframe of I am excited. I'm very, very excited to be a little bit more vulnerable and actually have conversations with people I don't know, because they don't know my background. And it'd be just being able to have no sort of any sort of like feeling of, oh, do they think I'm being different, or do they know my previous background or anything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that side of things as well.
Yeah. So you're coming into an environment where there's other men you don't know yet. In fact, I don't think anyone knows each other.
Okay, that's
which
good.
is quite nice. I like that. Obviously, everyone knows me. I'm pretty sure no one knows each other. And so you have this opportunity to create yourself in their minds for the first time. And you're going to be somebody who will do it consciously because you have your declarations. And what probably when I first said my declarations to you, I know you kind of thought about it a lot, but a lot of people, me included, when I first heard somebody say their declarations, I was like, wow, he's really full of himself.
Totally.
And then I thought, hang on a minute, what am I saying about myself? How am I creating myself in the minds of other people? And then I realized we do it all the time because we're going, oh, I'm no good at this, or I'm a bit of this kind of person, or I'm not really a fitness person. I'm not really a this kind of person. And we create ourselves in the minds of other people. And then once we've created ourselves in their mind, so that's like ownership, I get to create myself in your mind, you will create me back. You'll either create me to somebody else because you'll be like, oh, Ben's this kind of person. Oh yeah, he wouldn't want to do that because he's not that kind of person.
Yeah.
Right. And then that person will then maybe come back and create me. So there's kind of this ripple effect of me creating myself. Or they'll just straight back and they'll reflect what you've just said. Except you're unconsciously running. So all your shit just comes out and then it gets fired back and it just gets kind of reinforced.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting doing it live, in front of people, because like I said, that was a bit of a barrier for me at the start, thinking like, what if people think I love myself, or what if people think, like, what if Ben thinks I'm just being a bit sort of overly confident of who I am? But you have an opportunity to just be that person, and you are that person.
Unapologetically that person. And what the hell is the problem with loving ourselves?
Exactly.
Why is that not a masculine thing to do?
Yeah.
How ridiculous is that as an idea? That's not masculine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. And I think what would be quite an interesting exercise of, at the end of the camp, if you all write down who you are being, your declaration, and if we're all open and honest with each other, and at the end you say, this is who I am being, and people are like, really? Well, that's not how you've come
That's
across.
not how I experienced you.
Yeah. It'd be quite interesting, but it's
Yeah. like a 360 review, like a peer review of how do you see me?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the few environments where it could actually work, where everyone's just being, you can be honest.
That's a great idea. 3 things you have experienced about each person, positive or negative, doesn't matter. Yeah. What did they create in you?
Yeah.
Ooh,
See if it aligns with who they are.
some feedback right there.
Yeah.
Some feedback.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But that's sort of like, I love those kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Because it's like we don't get time, space to have that kind of stuff.
And I think if you're not open to that, you're probably not going to want to come to the camp anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the right environment. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Earlier on, we kind of went off on a little side quest, but we were talking about the 3 levers.
Yes.
And we first lever is sleep, and then we had consistency was kind of your first one. Oh no, getting rid of your tech.
Yeah.
Was kind of your first one. Consistency, and then was there a third?
So the third one for sleep, I would say that was the third one was the act of having the bridge of going over to like, this is
like
the
the
one thing I
ritual.
do to
Yeah,
signify that now I am going into a rest mode of right now my body is in that state of calm. And like I said, for me, breath work worked perfectly because you can lay down in bed or you can sit on your sofa and you can just
What do you do for your breath work? What is there a style of breath work, or is there a...
I'm a practitioner for the Oxygen Advantage.
Oh yeah.
Patrick McEwen. So I use a lot of what he does. He's got an app and it's just so simple because you can direct people by members and everything along the way as well. But it's got quite a broad spectrum of breath work for warm-ups and performance, breath work for stress reduction, breath work for being ready for sleep and calming down the sympathetic nervous system. So there's always something in there and it just guides you along and you can just do it. So a lot of it's around holding on the exhale instead of holding on the inhale. And because a lot of what he teaches is around carbon dioxide is as big a driver, if not more, of breathing than oxygen. So how you utilize the carbon dioxide and get rid of it as well. So a lot of it is around breath holding after the exhale and extending the exhale. So a lot of the techniques are around that.
Okay, cool. So those are the 3 things for sleep. What would your next lever be?
Movement, not training.
Nice.
Just movement.
I like that.
So whether that's standing, walking, playing with the kids, walking the dogs, whatever, just move as much as your tasks and work allow you to. So I'll use timers quite a lot, where just focus. Like if I'm sitting, it'll be every half an hour to move. If I'm standing, it'll be at least every hour to go and move. And it just provides me a little bit more focus with my work as well. Because if I know, right, I've got half an hour, go deep, do the work, and then you've got 5 minutes to go and see the kids. Or
we should probably do a few squats now because we've just been sat here for an hour and 8 minutes.
Practice what you preach, right?
I'm going to do some. My next. Why not?
There we go.
So what we preach.
Oh, there's a lot of click in there. That shows me.
Yeah.
That shows me that we definitely needed that. But yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it. So, especially with people who've got back pain and they've got all these aches and pains, but they don't do any training. Well, yeah. Well, if you don't deadlift, then deadlift isn't causing your back pain. Your back pain is being caused by probably stress and lack of movement and just being in this position where
you've got short hips in the front. So movement. So 3 levers within movement would be like a certain regularity. Again, like a
regularity of not being seated for too long. Seated, standing, like being seated isn't a bad thing, but just
being stationary is.
Yeah, don't do it for 3 hours at a time, and then and so that's a bit of a regularity. And another one is like a purposeful walk per day.
Nice.
Where you either switch your phone off or whatever. You can take your phone with you; it's not the end of the world. But just actually being purposeful, going out and just finding a little bit of nature, and just being there, and just so that's that one. And then just movement, like you move your body. Motion is literally is lotion because it delivers of fluids to your joints. So just being able to do those squats, or just you can bend down and pick up your kids and son. That's all movement. So just doing that regularly instead of just I'll stand up, or I'll go for a walk, and just actually moving your joints through a range of movement regularly.
What's your bare ass minimum
of movement?
Or bare ass minimum for somebody who wants to be or aspires to be a high performing person, or is a high performing person?
Your bare ass minimum is 1,000 steps more than you're doing right now, and movement at least once an hour.
Okay.
Even if it's 30 seconds. Even if you're in a meeting, you can probably get up and just have a little walk around and sit back down again.
Okay. And if I'm a bit more serious, so like I want to be a high performer. I want to make sure I'm performing at my best. What does that mean? Like in terms of kind of a bare ass minimum, like a minimal effective dose, should we say? Or does it just depend on how fit I am? And
it depends on where the bottleneck is at the minute of your health.
Yeah. So come and see you, really, is the answer to that question.
Yes. the famous coach's response is it depends. But
no,
the one purposeful walk a day, we can all do that. Yes, sometimes it's more convenient than other times, but we can all get out for a purposeful walk. If it's 10, 20, half hour, whatever, we can all get out and do that. The movement once per hour, at least. And and just, even if it's not stretching, I don't do any stretching routines or anything like that. I just make sure that my body is moving, like my shoulders, my hips, my ankles, knees, everything is moving throughout the day. So I don't stick to any particular protocol. It's just like, what are you doing right now?
Just become who you're being. You're being somebody who moves.
Yeah, somebody who moves. Yeah.
Being's everything. Who you're being is everything.
That's what it all comes back to, isn't it?
It is. It is. Okay, cool. And then third big lever?
Yeah, I mean, nutrition.
Okay.
And we'll all say it, but...
And then biggest levers within nutrition, top 3 things.
Whole foods.
Mm-hmm.
Hydration comes into it. A big part of it as well. So whole foods, hydration, and routine. I'd say the three biggest things. So with whole foods, like the more nutrient dense your diet is, the less chance you're going to be overweight, low on energy, and having that, it stops you from, like, if you are consuming a whole lot of ultra processed foods, it's not the devil. There's an element of it of just don't be a dick and eat a McDonald's breakfast for every day of the week, and then go and have then go and have a meal deal from Tesco, and then come home and just bring a tape.
But Joe, I eat nothing and I'm still overweight.
That's a lie. How long have you eaten nothing for? The last 2 hours. So look, food quality is massively underrated. So most people probably don't want to track their food. I argue that at some point you're going to have to.
Yeah, I
You-
think for a short period, it's
yeah,
definitely.
it's the whole like, are you a baker or are you a chef? Like at some point, you've got to be the baker
Oh,
because
nice.
everything's got to be exact, and you've
Mm,
got to know exactly what those numbers are. So you know, weighing your food is like it takes 2 seconds,
mm,
but you
mm.
know what that portion size is then,
I've got a
and
conversation that triggers lots of people. I
it's
got
like,
triggered by this actually. Calories.
yeah.
What What are your thoughts before I give mine? What are yours on whether we should track calories?
I think that we should track calories,
Mm-hmm.
but not always.
Okay.
So again, you've got to know where you're at and where the issue is for you to then be able to move into that chef of, oh, a little sprinkle of that. I don't have to weigh that. It's just, I'll go off my eye. And that is a better way of being,
Mm,
I believe, long term. But you're not going to get away with that if you're going, right, okay, I'm just going to pour this bowl of oats and you've actually had 4 times the portion size that you think you had.
right. Yeah.
And then, you go and put a bit of rice in there and it's like 3 times what it says on the packet or whatever. And for you to be able to be the chef, you have to be a baker at some point and actually understand what those portion sizes look like, what works for you. But you can put structure into it without tracking.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you tell someone to have 3 meals a day, the protein has to be the biggest part of that meal. A lean protein source has to be the biggest part of that meal. You have to have at least 2 portions of fruit or veg, and you can have 1 snack a day. I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee 99% of people won't overeat
Right. Yeah.
without tracking.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I asked is and I liked your answer, but I created a whole, when I had the gym, I created a whole guide and, which I'm about to dig back out and rebrand, around how you can do it without tracking calories. And we had loads of results because it was all portions, but the portions were obviously they were preset kind of sizes, which if you did track the calories, it would work out. But I think a lot of people get in their head about the calories and they get
Yeah.
triggered by it. And
Yeah.
I got triggered for them, not because of me, if that makes sense. Because it was just delivered in a room. This advice was given in a room without kind of any talk around the psychology of what happens to people when they get really fixated on the calories and
Yeah.
the shame around their bodies and things like that, which really play into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for if you're a bit of a beginner and you're trying to do everything at once, like
Yeah.
you're trying to get to the gym more, you're trying to eat better and then track your calories on top of it and move more and sleep better.
Just so much.
What's one thing you can do? You can just take that away.
Yeah.
And go, right, okay, let's just imagine your plate right now. Like how would it be set? And then just put structure around it and routine around their eating. I'm not a big advocate of intermittent fasting or anything like that, but just having a bit of structure to how their day looks in terms of their intake can have a bigger impact than just tracking religiously, I think.
Cool. I think we could do a whole other podcast on nutrition. So,
Yeah.
because a lot of it,
Calories alone.
yeah, calories alone, a lot of it's, I've probably got a few opinions as well. And I think there's a lot of opinions in nutrition generally, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of science, but the science is kind of conflicting as well. So I think one of the really interesting things around the whole nutrition piece is actually the conscious projection you put onto your food, which is not a thing that's, I don't know if that's been studied, but there's certainly cases of people eating utterly shit and still being relatively high performers, and you're like, wow, that doesn't fit my that doesn't fit my knowledge bank. How's that happened?
Yeah. And it's the same as like people that eat crap all day, every day, and they're stick thin like this.
Yeah, but then you've got like skinny fat people, haven't you, where they're just they are unhealthy and they've got some genetic. Yeah, the genetic stuff's really interesting. But then we're getting probably I think I like to think of this as levels. There's like level 1, what am I doing? And then there's like level 5, which is probably where you and I sit, where we're like, I'll just do anything. I'll just tell me what to do to be high performing, and I'm going to do it. I don't really care. And I think a lot of people try and start at level 5, don't they? With what supplements do I need? What exact macros and all this, and doesn't need to be quite that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's probably the 3 things that I would say if someone was just starting out and say, look, I need to focus on my nutrition a little bit more. I want more energy. I want to start losing a little bit of fat. And yeah, I just want to feel healthier. There's 3 things I'd say. Just put some structure to your meals, make a lean protein source the biggest part of all 3 meals, and consume. I tell most people to target like 50 mil of water per kilogram. So if they're 70 kilograms, it's like 3.5 liters. But some people are starting on 500 mil. Like, okay, we'll have double that first.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? Water.
Yeah, massively. So yeah, that is one part of nutrition that people just neglect completely.
Yeah. Okay, cool. There's another sort of topic that you talk about, which I like, and I think it's worth talking about, is the oscillation, this idea of oscillating. Can you explain what you mean by that, and how does that fit into all of this, what we've talked about so far?
Yeah, so I've had a battle with balance, and now I've realized it's not balance. Like the issue with balance is you're trying to do everything at once. And, as a parent running a relatively new business from the last couple of years, and still trying to be fitter, stronger, leaner, and trying to balance all those things just didn't work for me, especially when I started the business as well, and everything just dipped. Like the first month of business, I made like 800 quid. I went to do a Hyrox and absolutely stunk. It was awful. I was moody with my kids, and that's when the realization of like, why are you trying to balance it all? And then this is where the thought process around oscillation started to come into it, of just putting more focus into one thing at a time and not trying to balance it and thinking about everything whilst you're doing it, and being able to sort of just get some tunnel vision. It's not, so if you're working, go into the deep work, and then oscillate into your next role. So we spoke about this previously, like what roles do you play each day? It's not that you're trying to be someone different, it's just like a different version of you. So your state of being is still the same, but there's going to be parts of your being that are going to be more suited to being the CEO opposed to being the parent or being the coach or training. Like every part of your life is going to have a different focus and a different version of you that's going to be most effective in that point. And understanding who you need to be in each role allows you to oscillate between those. And like if I'm going into a point, because even in your business, like if you're a business owner, you're the entrepreneur, you're probably the manager, and you're probably doing an element of technical work as well. And just being, even within your work, being able to oscillate between those roles is, rather than getting stuck between all of them at once, you can say, right, today, for example, I am being the entrepreneur. All of this is about creative thinking, how I can push the business forward and working on the business. Right, today I am the manager. I'm going to meet with my staff. I'm going to coach them into that point, and just being able to oscillate rather than going, oh, I had this idea, I need to work on that, but I need to go and meet with this with
Yeah,
the
that makes
manager.
sense.
That's balance. Oscillation is being able to go deep into a role or a task or whatever you're doing and maximize it, and then move into the next one and just going, right, okay, now I'm going home and I'm going to go and be a parent. Who do I need to be the best parent and best version of me in that role, being present, being patient, which is tough sometimes, being calm. So all of those things, like, you're taking it from your declaration, because so it is part of who you're being, but it's like, right, okay, this is the best version of me for this part of my life. And the other part is like the bridge between the two. So if you're going from CEO to parent, how do you bridge that? How do you leave that where it is? Because knowing that it's still there, and then going and being a parent and actually being present, rather than still checking your work emails and, thinking about a meeting you had at that previously in the day. How do you bridge that and get the best version of you and the most out of that next situation? Again, like we said about sleep, for me, it's an act. Again, like, just doing something, even if it's on your drive home, do breath work, or listen to a certain song that's just going to trigger your head of going, right, okay,
It's the ritual.
Yep. The ritual, and going into that next part of your life. And just, you're going to leave that part knowing that you've done the deep work as a CEO, an entrepreneur, or as a manager, leaving that work knowing, satisfied with what you've done and who you've been during that time, to then allow you to then go deeper in your relationships.
Yes.
Actually, or if you go into the gym, actually go and train, rather than checking your phone, doing a little set, having a 5-minute rest, another set. And you never get as much out of that session, which then, if you're doing that, you're then sort of thinking, I could have done more.
I guess there's also a state of being which is underpinning all of these, which is just, I am being present.
Yeah. And that, like you said, that underpins it all. But being able to do the deep work allows you to be present in that next part. And I think people get caught in it a little bit, where they'll go to work, or, and they'll get caught between doing so many different things. And then they'll check their social media and get lost in that for 20 minutes. And then they start berating themselves and calling themselves idiots for wasting so much time. And then when you go home, you think, I didn't do as much work as I should have today, or I got off track and I didn't finish what I wanted to finish. And then you're thinking about it all night, and then you can't sleep at night. And then, it's just a cascade.
Which, for the record, we've all done.
Yeah.
And we all slip into it.
I am not saying I don't do this, right? But most of the time I don't.
Yeah. I'd just like to say that, because I think a lot of people hear that said and they're like, fucking hell, Joe's like amazing and Ben's like doing all this stuff and he's doing it really well. And they don't think that we ever slip back into, like, we also oscillate, right? Between all of this stuff that we know, and then slipping back into old behaviors and patterns. And we're just humans, right?
Exactly. And I do find myself doing it, but the fact that you're aware of it, helps, because it allows you to not then go into the next day, and the next day, or the next task. You sort of, you're aware of it, you pinpoint it, go, right, okay, that's not who I'm being, or I'm being not who I actually am being, and you can do something about it straight away. I think that's the difference. It's not that we never do that sort of thing. It's the fact that we can, like, nip it in the bud a little bit quicker, and go, right, that's not going to then cascade into a bad night, or it's not going to cascade into 2 or 3 days of it.
Because you're being conscious.
Yeah, exactly it. And I think another thing that I've learned probably over the last 2 years of this business in particular is those oscillations need to be a little bit fewer and further between. So at some point, I was probably splitting my day into about 6, 7, 8 different tasks of an hour, for example. And then you're just trying to switch between them. And then, by the time you've sat down and got stuck into a task, you fit 10, 15 minutes in, and then 15 minutes towards the end, you're thinking, right, what am I doing next? And then you've only really got half an hour where you're planning your week a little bit better. So you can go, right, okay, today I am being the entrepreneur. Today I am being the coach. Today I am being the manager. And just having 2, 3 goals for the day, Max. Like today would look like a success if I got A, B, and C done. And even if I don't, it's going to be A, B, and C are going to be further along the line, ready for me to continue on Thursday when I take up the role of entrepreneur again. So, it's just having a honest conversation with yourself again of who do I need to be or who I am being to be the best in that role, but also being understanding and forgiving of yourself, what we've spoken about previously as well, of actually forgiving yourself if things don't get done how you hoped. But having that forgiveness of I can leave it not finished because it's in a better position than it was before I started. Rather than going, oh, I'm going to have to cancel doing that now, or oh, I'm going to have to do it whilst I'm putting my kids to bed. I'm still having to think about it and try and come up with a plan for it. So that helps massively as well, I think.
Being intentional.
Yeah.
Someone described me as alarmingly calm the other day.
And what was going on in your head at that point?
Yeah, loads of stuff. No, I do feel more calm. I do feel more calm, peaceful, intentional, conscious because of having these kind of conversations, because of the work I've done with my coach for the last year and then a bit before that, really. And it's a much nicer place to be. It's a much, knowing your state of being, understanding, being consciously creating it all the time.
Yeah,
it makes a big difference to performance and to your just general sense of peace.
Yeah. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but you're probably still under a similar stress or workload that you were previously, but just being more forgiving of yourself and being more intentional with what you do and who you're being probably allows you to be a little bit more at peace with yourself.
Do you know what's funny is my immediate answer would be I'm actually not under as much stress. But then is that because I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. to go into the gym and I'm not getting back at 7, so that helps. But then I think it's probably more. So let's back up a bit. So I don't have the workload that I used to have. I don't have like the timings I need to keep quite in the same way. But even when I got rid of the gym, like 2 or 3 months later, I was still feeling stressed. I was still feeling not so peaceful as I feel now. So, and that would have been a similar workload for sure.
Yeah. But it's not even workload. It's you're still running a business.
Yes.
You're still trying to provide for your family. You still like everything's still the same. It's just a different outcome or stress. And again, like stress isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it's always going to be in your life. Like you're never going to be stress free. But how you manage that stress and how you
Well, it's who you're being, right? It's who you're being through the stress.
Yeah, it's very true. And being resilient to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're definitely never going to be stress free. So what's the point in trying to chase that?
Yeah, I think the reason I paused on it was because I think a lot of people use that as another badge of honor where they've got loads of stress and they're like, I'm resilient to it.
Yeah. It's the same as being busy.
Yeah, the busy badge.
Yeah.
But actually, the thing that's helped me the most is being, like you said, more conscious, more present, more intentional about what I'm doing. And those are the underlying. That's why I've sort of moved away from just talking about nutrition, even though nutrition is important and exercise and all of this, it is all important. But the actual underlying stuff is the things that we've been really talking about today, is like who you be through it all.
Yeah. Very true. Yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? You coach the self first, and then you coach the processes and the systems after. Because there's no point saying I've got this fat loss system that's going to get you absolutely shredded in 12 weeks. But if they're not in a state of being to be able to implement this system or this process, or and do the work and be the person that gets the results, they're not going to get them.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, because I have my total body, like 21-day total body reset protocol, and it's epic. Like it's really good, but 99% of people are not going to do it because it requires you to drink more water than you would normally drink. It requires you to implement fasting protocol. It requires you to eliminate certain foods, and if I'm being somebody who doesn't drink water, and I'm being somebody who couldn't possibly not eat for one meal, or I'm being somebody who just doesn't do X, Y, Z, and then it's like there's a lot of things that you could not be.
Yeah.
Which is why 99% of people won't do it, but it's epic if you do it. Epic. Yeah. So, Joe, let's wrap up with what do you feel like you're most challenged with at the moment? And if someone was listening, how could they possibly help you?
What am I most challenged with? I think it's not historical. It sounds like I'm ancient, but historical thoughts and feelings, and being able to maintain this. So
Okay, yeah, I get that.
So
like
it's okay when you're consciously doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I am being coached and I'm being helped, and I coach and help as well. And the hard part is what happens when you're not conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
Does it slip back in? And do you allow these old thoughts to come back in? And do you start then saying fuck your feelings again, or shut off your feelings? Or do you go back to being in a state of doing rather than a state of being, and being really fixated on an outcome again, and focusing on that? So it's a challenge, but it's an ongoing challenge. That I don't think it will ever not be a challenge, because you have to stay on top of it. You can't just take it for granted. But the more you do it, and the longer you do it for, it then becomes who you are being.
Yes.
But stronger.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there's two things to that. So one is, yes, if you stop, it stops. And the second thing is it's kind of new to your nervous system. So you're still in the kind of embedding it process. But like, are you ever going to not train again?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so like in your nervous system, in your habits, in who you are, that it would just be weird if you didn't do it. And it will become like that.
Yeah.
But you're only 4 weeks in, so.
Yeah. There's probably a third one in that, is of like what happens when that first obstacle comes. Like, what happens? Does it prompt you to take a step back, or you're like, right, okay, I've gone through this. Yeah. So it's almost like,
what's the point?
You treat it as a challenge, or is it sort of a reason to, I haven't got time for that right now? Or I think it's the same with everything, isn't it?
It's the same as the training.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah. So I think that's a challenge, but the challenge is never a bad thing.
Because there's been times where I've when I first created my document, my declarations, I took it really seriously, and then I kind of forgot about it, and then didn't really do it for a while, and then I noticed it's like I haven't trained for a while. I'm starting to get fatter, and I'm starting to get not strong, and I don't feel quite so clear, and so I had that kind of thing happen.
Yeah.
And then I picked it back up again, and then I've done that a couple of times. And now it's just like, it's there.
Yeah.
It's more and more there.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I almost feel like I've got my declaration up here just to remind me, but I almost feel accountable to that.
Yes. Yeah. It's a reminder.
Yeah. 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 And if I'm not being that person, then it's like, why not?
Yeah.
And that's probably the same with you as well. Like, part of who you are being is, you know, fit, strong. And if you're not being that, then it's your reminder, isn't it?
Yeah. So one I added quite recently was, I am that I love my body unapologetically. Which probably, if you're listening to this, you would be surprised for me to have that, need that reminder.
Yeah.
But for sure, there's times where I think the whole reason I got into fitness and nutrition and improving my body was because I didn't love it. And it's been injured for a long time. Has had lots of niggles and injuries, and I've never felt, I think I've always never felt good enough in my body to be able to do certain things.
Yeah.
So, and I realized that quite recently, and I was like, wow, that's just not true. My body's amazing.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome thing.
Yeah.
So it's a reminder. It's just a reminder. And every time you read it, it's a reminder.
And people that don't have that, this is why sometimes I do say quite often that, like, gym and training isn't the only answer to a mental health problem, or, you know, to your depression or anxiety, because yes, it's part of the solution, but you know what, you're just going to get hung up on something else, and you're never going to be fully satisfied with how you look, what your body does. But as long as it's going in the right direction, then, you know, you'll get that fulfillment of who you are being, working towards it. And yeah, even us, like, I still get it as well, and I don't think I ever won't. And I just, one thing I probably learned is, like, everything's ongoing. Yes, it will be deeper ingrained into you, and you will find it easier. It will become a habit. It will just be what you do, but that's not a reason to let it slip and take that away. So yeah, it's the same with, you know, alcoholism, depression, everything. Like, it's not like you're cured. You know, you're always having to continually work on it and be this newer version of you, rather than letting it slip back.
Yeah. I think the more you do it, though, the less it's a lot of the times when and I think you've had a few of these, like when you have a really big breakthrough, you know, if you walk down an alleyway, I must have said this to you already, but like you walk down an alleyway and you see a person in the alleyway and you're like, fuck, there's a person in, you know, it's dark, you know, it's like someone in the alleyway. And then you get closer and you're like, oh, it's just a tree. Right? So you walk past. Next time you go down the alleyway, you get scared by it again, but not quite so much. And then you remember really quickly, like, oh, it's just that tree again. And I think the more time, the next time you walk down the alleyway, you don't even, you're like, oh, it's that tree that looked like a person. And then the next time you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
I believe that can happen quite quickly.
Yeah.
With quite a few things like alcoholism, like depression, like, because it's a state of being, really. It's like, I am an alcoholic, or I am a depressed person. I am somebody who gets anxiety.
Yeah.
Now, if you start working on it and you can get there quite slowly, you can get quite far away from that state of being, but it's still kind of there in the background. And I think there's also times where you can just have these like big, visceral, profound moments where you're like, that's not fucking me. Can't believe I believe that lie. That's not me. It's like if I said to you, you've got blue hair, you'd be like, no, I haven't.
I've got none.
I've got none.
But how do you know? I might have blue hair.
You might have blue hair, but you wouldn't be bothered by it. Like, you wouldn't be triggered by it in any way whatsoever.
Yeah. It's very true. It is.
Because it is not true.
Yeah.
Like if we say like, you're not trustworthy or you're not a good dad, like there's parts of us which get triggered sometimes, depending on what I said, because parts of us believe that it could be true.
Yeah. And do you feel like that's because that is at that point as part of your being? Like you say to people, I'm an alcoholic, or
Yeah. Becomes part of your being. Yeah. It's a very unpopular opinion for me to say, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
And okay, so the thing that my coach Sanika the Firestarter Street, if anyone wants to look him up, it's a great man. One of the things he said to me quite a lot was, if all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I didn't really get it, and he would also say, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Like I was like, I didn't really get it for quite a long time. But it's like, if I see somebody being unfair to me, or someone being angry towards me, or unfair is a good one. I mean, then, or I feel, or I sense shame, or I sense something. It's because I have a part of it within me. There's other things that people say where I don't pick up on it at all. I don't get it. Like narcissist's a big one. A lot of people use the word narcissist. I don't know any narcissists. I don't see anything. I don't really know what it means. I'm like, it's not within my sphere really at all. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. You're, like you said, perception, and even your eyes do that, don't they? And
Yeah.
and changes depending on what else is around you. And it's the same with your thoughts as well.
Yeah, because there's so much information.
Yeah.
So we're just filtering it through. Like, yeah, that's not me. That is me. No, yeah, no, yeah. Because there's too much. Can't absorb it all. It's like, when you attune your mind, when you buy a new car, you know that one. When you buy a new car and you see that car everywhere,
Yeah.
it's just because your brain's tuned to it, or you're thinking about getting the new car. You still see it everywhere. They're always fucking there.
Yeah, definitely. And that can be a big positive, because if you're not surrounded by negativity, or you don't have negative thoughts, then you tend to not notice them as much.
Yeah.
Which is nice. Means you can ignore people a bit better.
Yeah. Well, you just don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't see. I don't. For example, on the road rage, I never see that.
Yeah.
I used to see it a lot. I never get it. I never attract it. I never see it, because I'm a really calm driver now.
Good for you.
Yeah, I don't. But
I'm still waiting for that point.
Yeah, it will come. It will come. But I used to get it all the time. But that guy's a dick. He's a dick. They're a dick. Sure enough, I'd get cut up and get sworn at. Just a little thing to ponder on.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you for your time. And I realised that this was kind of supposed to be a coaching session as well, but hopefully you found that.
Well, it was a coaching session, a podcast, and probably a bit of therapy at the same time, I think. Yeah.
That's good. If anybody would like to get into the best shape of their lives, perform at their peak, how would they go about doing that?
Drop me a follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
And get in touch.
What's your Instagram handle?
rpb.training.
rpp.training.
Yeah.
And your email?
info@rpbtraining.online.
Cool. And who's like the best kind of person what's your ideal person to work with? Like, what are they working on?
They're just open to working on themselves, rather than fixated on, I want abs, I want to be 10% body fat. Absolutely. Like, that is and should be, or could be, a goal, but not being fixated on it and being more open to focusing on you first as a human being to then be that person that gets those results. And it's not, for me, it's always, when you're an online coach, it's always about your niche. Who do you work with? And I don't think I have a specific population, which annoys everyone. Like, who's your niche? It's just the type of person that I work best with and fortunately attract as well. And people that are more willing to look within a little bit more. And being open to being coached. That's a massive thing. And it's actually rarer than you think.
Well, I think you're going to get a lot of, I think you'll find that people will listen to this and look you up from that, because I think that's sort of people who will listen to this podcast.
Yeah. That's good.
Awesome, man. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much. Like I said, thanks for the therapy session as well.
I don't do therapy. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we shut down?
I think we've covered things pretty well, and you've guided that very well. So
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Jay.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
Ben.